Japan's economy was once the envy of the world. Just a few decades ago, Japanese companies like Toyota, Honda, Mitsubishi, and Toshiba became globally famous and dominant over their rivals. Economic growth increased so rapidly that a country decimated by the Second World War became the world's second largest economy in just 40 years. Many, especially in America, talked about how Japan could rise to become the world's largest economy. But if you look at things now, there's hardly any good news to be seen about the Japanese economy. Growth is down, inflation is high, the population is shrinking, and the country's once dominant companies are a shadow of what they used to be. Just this week, the Asia Power Index confirmed what has been known for some time. Japan was surpassed by India, which took the former spot as Asia's third most powerful nation. A major part of the reason why was Japan's economic decline. The country has barely grown over the last 30 years, and while it was once a major base for investment and financial capital in Asia, its importance is steadily declining. But what happened exactly? To understand that, we've got to grapple with a little bit of history. In 1925, Japan was defeated by the Allied powers, led by America, in the Second World War. At the time, Japan was in ruins, with its industrial base totally destroyed. But starting in the 1950s, Japan began to turn its story around, as both the government and the people were desperate to restore the country to prosperity. The Japanese government adopted strong economic policies that promoted industrial growth, including protectionist measures for domestic industries and incentives for exports. This included support for Japanese firms to go out and compete on the world stage. A number of these firms are names we recognize today: Toyota, Sony, Mitsubishi, Honda, and Nissan. These policies began to work, and spectacularly so. In 1960, the government declared an ambitious plan aiming to double national income within 10 years. But with an average annual growth rate exceeding 10%, Japan achieved that massive target in less than 7 years. After that, the Japanese economy was pretty much unstoppable. By the 1980s, it was the world's second largest economy, right behind America. In fact, many experts thought at the time that it was only a matter of time before Japan's economy surpassed America's economy. But they were very, very wrong. During the late 1980s, an asset price bubble driven by speculative investments in real estate and stock markets hit Japan. This bubble became so massive that at one point in time, the value of the central Tokyo compound that holds the Japanese Imperial Palace was worth more than the entire American state of California. In 1991, the bubble popped and it triggered a massive collapse. Real estate values plummeted and financial institutions were burdened with non-performing loans, leading to crippling financial crunch. This marked the beginning of what we now call the lost decades. Throughout the 1990s and into the 2000s, Japan's economy has struggled with stagnation. GDP growth averaged a mere 1.14% from 1991 to 2003, far below Japan's global peers. Japan's government has tried desperately to revive the economy and has even created the world-famous negative interest rates to get things going. But consumers and businesses have remained hesitant to spend and invest, fearing deflation and economic uncertainty. Even now, over 30 years after the bubble popped, not much has changed. Compounding these economic growth woes are Japan's demographic challenges. With one of the world's oldest populations, Japan faces a declining birth rate and increasing life expectancy. The median age of the Japanese population is 49.4 years, which is among the highest in the world. Japan's population is around 128 million people today. But because of falling birth rates and rising death rates, it is going to drop to around 100 million in just a few decades. This demographic shift has resulted in a shrinking workforce, reduced spending, and soaring welfare costs as Japan struggles to take care of its aged population. As the working age population declines, the economic burden on the Japanese government is only increasing. In recent years, Japan's governments have tried their best to turn things around. Famously, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe came up with a strategy called Abenomics, which called for more government spending and a much easier monetary policy to boost businesses. But despite some positive changes like wage increases for ordinary workers, Japan's economy is still grappling with sluggish growth. In 2024, Japan entered a recession with GDP contracting for 2 consecutive quarters. The International Monetary Fund has also lowered the country's growth forecasts. As we look to the future, Japan's economy faces significant challenges. The combination of a declining population, low productivity, and an inflexible labor market raises questions about sustainable growth. Even if innovations like robotics and AI hold promise for Japan, they can only partially counteract the deep-seated issues at play. In conclusion, Japan's journey from economic dominance to stagnation serves as a complex tale of boom and bust. The road to recovery for Japan will be long and fraught with obstacles. Bureau Report, India Today Global.